Hey y'all, welcome to the filling station. I am super excited. So in this video, we are doing more or less like a recap, right? We're just looking at the market, just seeing what we can learn. And yeah, let me go ahead and give my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth. And yes, the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. With that being said, let's get started. So we are looking at the SPY. And what's interesting is the SPY made a new high today of 566.58, right? 566.58. So if you traded the SPY today, I would have traded just once actually. And that breakout is where I would, or break down, let's say that. So we created a gathering spot or consolidated here, right? Only to get a signal here. MACD had already given us a signal. However, those lines are a little bit close and I don't like to see that. So that 5 and 50 was a confirmation to enter the trade to the downside, although I knew that there will be trouble in this area. So my entry for the SPY would have been somewhere around this area here. Right? The lines have separated and yeah, a little bit more comfortable. However, if entry was around this level, let's say between here and here, entry level, I would have definitely gotten out here towards the bottom. This area here, I would not have been into the downside. Let me say that. Why? Because those are support areas that found support and we're back at another gathering spot. So what I don't like to trade is this up and down wavy thing, up and down wavy type thing. To me, that's like another gathering spot or going sideways or not really going anywhere. And once I go to a higher time frame, this is the 30-minute chart, we see that, right? We created a gathering spot, so I should have or could have been in the move to the downside. This moved down. Why? Because we created another gathering spot here. So if you traded the SPY today, yes, we did have a high of 566 and a low somewhere around, let's see, the low of this candle was 560.79. So from 560 to 566, however, it was more of a not really, yes, maybe, kinda, in, out, scalping type thing versus a strong move up or a strong move down. So that's something to be mindful of, right, before you enter your trade. And I always say, know your plan going in, and sometimes the plan can be altered or must be altered, and you have to make changes really quick. So let's go look at Tesla just to see. Again, Tesla did kind of, no, I would say kind of the same, not really. But yes, so Tesla ran up, made a high of 234.57, which is the high here, right? So what's interesting about Tesla is it traded in this gathering spot here for a while today. So this level of I had marked at 230.254. That was the area, and that was resistance. Support was around the 232. So Tesla kind of traded in that zone for a while. What's interesting is, we had a signal from the MACD here that for the downside of the trade. The confirmation didn't come until here, right? So that's really interesting. I had a signal MACD crossing around, let's say about 10:30. However, I didn't get confirmation until about 12:20. So that's interesting. So my entry for Tesla would have been somewhere around in this area. But if I would have entered, I had a lot of creating a gathering spot, back to the gathering spot, under the 5 EMA, above the 5 EMA, under the 5 EMA, above the 5 EMA. So this is one of those I definitely would not like to trade, right? So again, some days I always say, right, that some days are learning and some, what can I learn from the market? And some days are really good trading days, right? Now, I will say, looking at this from a different view, if we would have entered Tesla, say on this candle here, around the 12:15, we would have got the confirmation around 12:20 again on this 5-minute chart. So this from here to here could have been a decent trade if you're okay with going up and down, up and down, up and down. If you're okay with that, let me say that. So, if you traded Tesla today, congratulations on that trade. The high was 234 and the low, it seems as if, let's see, we're down here around the 226. So if you're able to ride that wave, because it was wavy, let me say that was definitely a wavy day, right, in my opinion. So now we're back at the consolidation area for Tesla in the gathering spot, creating a gathering spot. Let's look at this 30-minute chart. There was our gathering spot, only to sell off and come back down to create another gathering spot. So if we were looking at the 30-minute chart and trading that, we could have entered the trade and came down and stayed in it for a little bit longer, depending on your trading strategy. And that's what's kind of tricky with trading. Sometimes it's just developing your strategy, not trading like somebody or because they did this. You have to develop and create what works for you, right? What works best for you. So let's go look at AMD and see where we are. It kind of looks like Tesla just a little, right? So AMD came here, found support at this Fibonacci level this morning, only to give us a double bottom to go back to the upside, right? That's here. We got a double bottom. I look at the body of the candles. Here we bounced off that Fibonacci retracement, which is the red lines that we see here. We went back to the upside, only to get rejected here at this ORB high, which is the green lines here, which is when I say ORB, it's the opening range breakout. It's really the first 15 minutes of the market, and really I mark those. It's generated on my charts, but you can, if you charting, we can mark those, and again, not financial advice. I would mark those areas, and it gives me a guide of support and resistance, basically. So it's just automatically generated on my chart. The low here is the red, and the green here is the high. So AMD went up to the ORB high, got rejected and came back down, only to test it again to come back down, right? So we know that's a trouble place for AMD, right? We tested it once, twice, and again this third time. The third time it's like, okay, that was it. It didn't even make it back to that area again, which is interesting, right? So then I definitely need to be watching for a downside move, because we did not make that high to come back and test this area here of 153.78, considering we hit it 1, 2, 3, 4 times, got rejected, came down. So now I have a signal from the MACD to enter to this trade to the downside. Okay, confirmation is the rejection here. So I would have 5 and 50 cross is another confirmation. So we had some confirmations too. It's okay to trade this to the downside, right? However, I would have looked at all of this trouble place that I have here that we could have found support at. Okay, if I would have entered the trade, I would have definitely been mindful of those areas. So if you traded AMD today, congratulations, because it was a wavy day in my opinion. And when I say a wavy day, it is under the 5 EMA. So the entry at this point would have been really, really good. I would have bought off rejection right here and back to the downside. That confirmation was here, and that 5 and 50 crossing was a second, third confirmation. Let's say that. So looking at AMD, it stayed under the 5 EMA. So this is where it kind of would have got, a little bit tricky. It went back up only to get rejected and come back down. This candle here would have been a concern for me. One, we're trading sideways. I don't think I would have wanted to be in this sideways movement, or, this area of consolidation, or this creating a gathering spot is what I like to say. I probably would not have wanted to trade this area, but if that's, if you're okay with that, it would have been interesting to just go sideways like that. My overthinking would be like, okay, I can go into something else or try something different or wait on another move, right? Because I want to go up or down and not go sideways. That's just me, right? So this green candle right hammer here would be interesting. Why? Because normally when we see a hammer, we say, oh, it's a possible reversal back to the upside, right? We did move up, right? The low of this candle, let's see, was around 149.23. So it did take us up just a little bit, because the high of this candle is 150.37. So normally when we see a hammer, it doesn't mean that it's going to go up this big amount. It just tells us that there's a possible for reversal, and it did do that. However, the going sideways, moving sideways, I don't think I would have been able to trade this. And one, the MACD is very, very close to one another. Yes, we did get a crossing of the MACD, but it's not a strong move, so I definitely would not have wanted to trade that today. So if you traded AMD, I say congratulations. If you were able to get into this scalp move here, this scalp back to the upside, I would have waited on confirmation in this area only to come back to the downside. I would have traded that down, and I clearly would have been out around this area here, around, let's say, 145 for AMD. I don't think I would have wanted to trade that again, but again, it had a nice scalping move to the down at the opening here, 5 and 50 crossed here. So that would have been a nice double bottom to take it back to the upside. So if you traded AMD today, again, y'all, I say congratulations. Nvidia, let's see, to me it kind of looks like yeah, so we created a gathering spot here, so I would not have wanted to trade this area here. See how that MACD is just all over? To me, that's just all over the place. I definitely would have waited on confirmations. You could have scalped this in the beginning here. That would have been a nice scalp to the down, up to the downside. It made a high of 118.80, bouncing off of that, coming back to the downside, creating a double bottom. So if you're able to scalp and get in and get out, that could have been a nice, a decent scalp. However, this movement to the sideways movement here, or the gathering spot here on this 5-minute chart, I would not have wanted to be in that. So I would have possibly taken a scalp here around this 117.08, say about 12:15. There, it's under the 5 EMA. That pivot here gives me a signal, so I have confirmation as to entering the trade. We could have traded it to the downside here. Now, this would have been interesting, watching this rejection only to come back down. Yeah, I probably would have exited the trade around this area. Why? Because I knew that these two places here is a gathering spot. And as you can see, look where price kind of stayed close to that area. So around this place for NVIDIA, I definitely, let's say around 150, I definitely would not have wanted to trade that. So if you are able to make profit today on NVIDIA, I always say, y'all, congratulations. Go in and get your profit and get out. Don't overstay your welcome. Be grateful and not greedy, right? So the market has been interesting today. Just know that we do have economic data coming out tomorrow, which is the FOMC, which is going to be very, very interesting. People may think that if the Fed does decide to cut rates, that it's going to send the market booming. That could be the straight opposite. Let me say that. So yeah, again, y'all, trade carefully. Go back and review your charts and see what can you learn. What did I learn today? I try to make that a habit every single day. What did I miss? What didn't I see? What should I have saw? And look and see where the candles are, where the volume is, and what's actually going on in relation to the 5-minute EMA. And that's what I use. Again, you use what works best for you. So I hope that everyone had a very, very profitable, very productive day today. And if you could please like, share, comment, and subscribe. I say that why? Because we learn and we grow together. So until next time, y'all, be blessed as well as a blessing unto others.